Hi, my name is Katrina Van Gelder, and this is Project 2. Culture. What does the term culture mean? How does culture impact us as individuals? How does culture impact students? And how does it change the way we teach? That's what my presentation is about today and what I'm going to talk a little bit about. What is culture? Culture influences each of us differently depending on our culture, if our culture is the same or different from others. Different influences that it has is how we think, what we feel in certain situations, what we value, and what we believe. Culture is learned. It's taught from birth by our parents, grandparents, caregivers, from the time we learn how to eat, how to dress, how to speak, how we speak to others, how we think. It's all taught to us from birth. Culture is also determined by our values. Values are included in this pie chart here: honor, prestige, status, pride, religious beliefs, love of country, family loyalty, and pride. Culture is also affected by nonverbal communication. All these things listed here, like shaking hands, bowing, kissing, how we greet others, walking, sitting, standing, gesturing, dancing, are all ways that we not communicate with people nonverbally, but can be interpreted in different ways based on your culture. One thing I read in the book was that when someone raises their eyebrow in certain cultures, it's considered offensive, whereas people do that here all the time. Um, in the United States, no one thinks anything about it. So knowing the different cultures that your students are from could have different effects in the classroom, because how you greet them, um, shaking their hand, how you gesture to them, they can consider it offensive or rude or even insulting, and you not mean it that way. Culture and language. Again, everyone has different languages, different dialects, different sounds and sound combinations that are used differently depending on the culture. Diverse language patterns can also lead to misunderstandings across different cultures. A good example of this is, I know in the African American culture, that's not really a culture, but African American people a lot of times have their slang, and then certain Caucasian people have a different slang. Now we all understand each other because we all live and work with each other, but if you were never around anyone who said anything in a slang term that you didn't understand, you'd be a little lost, and you might think something that they said was offensive or rude to you when it wasn't that at all. Dominant culture. The dominant culture has WASP roots, meaning white people pretty much from middle class. It's evolving as more cultures or culture groups are forming across the United States, though. The key values of dominant culture: individualism and freedom. Individualism is basically, the term means each individual has their own master. They can control their own destiny. They will advance or regress based on their own efforts. Examples of how they project this individualism is industriousness, ambition, competitiveness, self-reliance, independence. And freedom is not allowing others to determine what our values, beliefs, or behaviors are. Subcultures are a subculture of culture, basically. One group may have more influence on our cultural identity than other groups that we belong to. And all these over here to the right are all the different, subcultures that make up culture as a whole. You can be in one of these cultures with a lot of people, and none of those people be in one of your other subcultures that you're a part of. Usually one of these subcultures is more dominant than the others and affects more how or what your culture you consider you come from and how that's projected. Culture in the classroom. Culture, we have to, as teachers, remember that cultural differences have strength and value. We also, schools in general and teachers should respect those cultural differences and try to accommodate as we can in the classroom with students from different cultures than our own. And remember that learning differences based on different cultures your students come from should be taken into account when planning your classroom, whether that be decorations or how you hold your classroom rules, and also into our curriculum as we prepare it as well. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much.